introduced many important parts of Scratch so far, including loops, ifs, if-elses, variables, procedures, events, objects, and lists. Now I'll introduce message events. Messages are events sent from one sprite to all the sprites. In earlier challenges, I've shown how sprites and a stage are separate objects. The sprites have their own XY location on the stage, their own size, their own color effect, and more. But how can these sprite objects communicate between themselves effectively and efficiently? Message events. Message events are sent, broadcasted, from one sprite to all the sprites and the stage. Each object, sprite or stage, can respond to a message event, or it can ignore the message event too. The first version will use a variable for coordinating between the crab and button sprites, and the second version will use a message. I want to use a new backdrop. I'll go to New Backdrop. Beach Malibu. I'm not going to need the cat for this challenge. Delete the cat, right-click, delete. I want to get the crab sprite, new sprite, animals, crab. I want a button sprite too, new sprite, things, button 3. I'll give the button a message, go to costumes, second button, I'll add the message, don't touch the crab. Okay. I'll move it over the middle. Now I'll resize the button. I want to get the other button costume to be the same size. It's going to be hard to do. What I can do is I can copy, Control-C, click, I'll paste it in here. Now I can resize the gray button to about the same size. Pretty close. Yeah, that'll work. I'll press the delete key. I'll reselect. Press the delete key again. Yeah, there we go. Now I'll see if the button's about right. Gray's moving a tiny bit to the left. I'll recenter it. It looks kind of a 3D effect. Close enough. I'll go to the scripts. I'll put the sprites in the middle of the stage. About there. I want to save the sprite locations now. Go to XY, Events. When the green flag is clicked, I'll go to button 3. When the green flag is clicked, back to motion. Go to. Now I'll show how I want the program to behave. The sequence diagram shows how the crab and the button sprites will behave when the green flag is clicked and when the crab is clicked. The crab has a green flag event handler and when this sprite clicked handler. The button has a green flag handler with this code in it and a few other commands. First I'll click on the green flag. The green flag handler for the crab and for the button will both run. I have no guarantee which one will run first. It's a race. The crab's handler will set show warning to an N for no, and the button's handler will wait until show warning is the letter Y for yes. With time progressing down the diagram, the next thing I'll do is click on the crab. The crab's when this sprite clicked handler is called. It sets show warning to a Y for yes. When it does that, to wait until finishes. So the button switches its costume to don't touch the crab, waits a couple seconds, then changes back. A loop's not shown here, so the button can do this multiple times. This code will be inside of a forever loop. I'll go back to Scratch now and make the changes. I'll start with a crab. I'll go to Events. When the sprite clicked, I'll need a variable. Go to Data. make a variable, call it show warning. The button needs to be able to see this variable too, so I'll leave it for all sprites. Okay. I want to start with show warning set to N. When the sprite is clicked on, I want to set show warning to a Y for yes. I'll go to button 3. I want to make sure the button doesn't start with a costume showing the message. I'll go to looks, switch to costume, button 3A. The button's going to need a loop so I can get all the times the crab is clicked on. Control. Forever will be good for this. Now how to wait. I could use a wait loop and an if and keep delaying and checking, but busy loops are very inefficient and very rarely needed. Scratch gives me wait until. I'll use that. Wait until. I want to wait until show warning is a Y. Go to operators, equals the letter Y, data, show warning. Wait until show warning is the letter Y. After it's the letter Y, I'll need to change it back to an N, so I'll wait the next time. I want to switch my costume. I'll go to looks, switch costume to B. I want to switch my costume back to A. With no time in between, I won't see the costume change. I'll go back to control, add a wait. Instead of 1 second, I'll wait 2 seconds. Does this look correct? I'll run it now. I'll move show warning down to the middle. Stop to be sure, green flag. I'll click on the crab. The message showed for 2 seconds and disappeared. Program looks like it's working correctly. I can click on the crab again. I get the message and it disappears. And again. I can click on it several times. And it disappears. The communication works between the two sprites. It doesn't scale well though. What if the crab needs to communicate with different button sprites to get different messages and behaviors in different locations? One button changing show warning to N could make another button not see the Y and not do what it's supposed to do. This approach works well for a simple communication from one sprite to another, but it becomes tricky and error-prone when trying to communicate with more than one sprite or more than one value. Now I'll change this program to use message event. I need to replace only the show warning logic. The costume changing logic won't change. I'll show the changes in the diagram. With this version, there's no show warning variable. When I click on the green flag handlers initialize the sprites. A little later, I click on the crab. The crab's when this sprite clicked handler is called. It's going to broadcast a new message called clicked on crab. A new event handler in the button will catch that event, will change its costume, wait 2 seconds, and return its costume back to gray. It doesn't need the show warning variable because it has its own handler that's called when a clicked on crab message is broadcasted by the crab. The crab is letting the button know it was clicked on. This is a very easy way for sprites to communicate to each other, just as the crab is communicating to the button. I'll make the changes now back in Scratch. I'll save copies of these so I can compare them later. Duplicate. I don't need show warning. Remove it. And remove it. I'll go to events so I can broadcast the message. Broadcast message. I can take a quick look at block help. Block help, broadcast message, sends a message to all sprites. It's useful for telling other sprites when to do something. I'll close it. I want to create a new message. I don't like using message 1. Just as I like to have good variable names, I like to have good message names. As programs get larger and they have more messages, it's very helpful to have descriptive message names to understand the program. New message. I'll call it clicked on crab. OK. I want to broadcast this message to the sprites when the crab is clicked on. I'll go to button 3, stop the program. It's highlighted. It's still running. Stop. Duplicate. I don't need the green flag there. I only want this for comparison later. I want the same simple initialization, but now I don't need the loop, the wait, or the set. I'll get rid of them. When I receive clicked on crab, I'll change my costume to say don't touch the crab, wait 2 seconds, change my costume back to the default gray. I'm not using show warning. I'm saving it over here for comparison later. I'll go to data, uncheck it. I'll run the program now, click on the green flag. When I click on the crab, notice that this handler will highlight for 2 seconds while the costume is changing. I'll click on the crab. I have the message, it's highlighting, and it changed back. I'll do it one more time. I have the message, it's highlighted, and finished. If I click on the crab a bunch of times, it handles it nicely. And I'll stop. Finished. That's working nicely. I'll compare the 2 sets of code. Go to the crab. Not much of a change here. Change from a set to a broadcast. Looks a lot the same. I'll go to button 3. Here's where the big differences are. I don't need the variable in the loop. Scratch will call me every time the crab is clicked on. This handler is a lot simpler because it doesn't have to worry about show warning. If I have lots of sprites, this approach will need lots of variables in order to communicate. Instead of using a variable, it can be much easier using a message. This is a simple example with only one message. Think of the comparison and how much easier it'll be when sending messages to many sprites. More on that in future challenges. I'm finished with the first challenge to introduce messages. It's important that you understand broadcasting and receiving messages. I'll have several more message challenges to get more experience with them. As always, I hope you'll play with this example and get comfortable using messages. Try changing the program. Try adding another sprite that counts the number of times the crab is clicked on. Have it add 1 to a new count variable when it receives the clicked on crab message when it's broadcasted. Or try changing the program to have the crab hide, disappear, before the broadcast. Create a new message type, then when the button finishes displaying "Do not touch the crab," have the button broadcast the new message type that the crab will receive and make the crab visible again so it can be clicked on again. Have fun with the program.